the father of our nation. In Jerusalem, King David established our capital 3,000 years ago. In Jerusalem, King Solomon built our temple, which stood for many centuries. In Jerusalem, Jewish exiles from Babylon rebuilt the temple, which stood for many more centuries. In Jerusalem, the Maccabees rededicated that temple and restored Jewish sovereignty in this land. And it was here in Jerusalem, some 2,000 years later, that the soldiers of Israel spoke three immortal words: Hal Habayit Biadenu, the Temple Mount is in our hands. Words that lifted the spirit of the entire nation. We are in Jerusalem and we are here to stay. We are here in Jerusalem protected by the brave soldiers of the Army of Israel, led by our Chief of Staff, Gadi Eisenkot, and our brave soldiers are protecting the borders of Israel as we speak today. We salute them all. And the members of our security forces, the Shin Bet, and the Mossad, whose head is with us today. We salute you all of you. We gather here today to celebrate another historic day in the life of this city, which I know will take its place alongside other momentous decisions in the history of our people. Over a century ago, the Balfour Declaration recognized the right of the Jewish people to a national home in this land. And exactly 70 years ago today, President Truman became the first world leader to recognize the newborn Jewish state. Last December, President Trump became the first world leader to recognize Jerusalem as our capital. And today, the United States of America is opening its embassy right here in Jerusalem. Thank you, President Trump, for having the courage to keep your promises. Thank you, President Trump, and thank you all for making the alliance between America and Israel stronger than ever. And thank you, a special thank you, to you, Ambassador Friedman. Thank you, David, for everything you do to bring our countries and our peoples closer together. Today, you have a special privilege. You are privileged to become the first American ambassador to serve your country in Jerusalem. And this is a distinct honor that will be yours forever. Nobody can be first again. Thank you, David. My friends, this is a great day for Israel. It's a great day for America. It's a great day for our fantastic partnership. But I believe it's also a great day for peace. I want to thank Jared, Jason, and David for your tireless efforts to advance peace and for your tireless efforts to advance the truth. The truth and peace are interconnected. A peace that is built on lies will crash on the rocks of Middle Eastern realities. You can only build peace on truth. And the truth is that Jerusalem has been and will always be the capital of the Jewish people, the capital of the Jewish state. Truth, peace, and justice. As our Justice here, Hanan Meltzer, can attest, truth, peace, and justice. This is what we have. And this is what we believe in. the prophet Zechariah declared over 2,500 years ago.
Right.
Ko amar Adonai, shavti el Zion, v'shachanti betoch Yerushalayim.
Right.
V'nikre'a Yerushalayim ir ha'emet. So said the Lord, I will return to Zion, and I will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem.
Amen.
And Jerusalem shall be called the city of truth.
Yes.
May the opening of this embassy in this city spread the truth far and wide.
Yes.
And may the truth advance a lasting peace between Israel and all our neighbors.
Yes.
God bless the United States of America, and God bless Jerusalem,
Yes.
the eternal, undivided capital of Israel.
Right.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו
Yes.
בזמן הזה. Thank you very much.
Yes. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I'm Hallie Jackson in Washington. You have been watching a jubilant Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the ceremony for the opening of the new U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. And before him, Jared Kushner, with pomp and circumstance inside that room. But outside, serious protests, shots fired at the border, dozens of Palestinians killed in demonstrations just within the past few hours. We have our team on the ground covering all of this, plus political reaction from here at home. And we want to start with MSNBC's Ayman Mohaldin, who is in Jerusalem. Ayman, bring us onto the ground here. What's it like?
The Golden Jubilee.
Yeah, I mean, Hallie, I can't think of any more stark differences between the words and the atmosphere inside that new American embassy, with the realities happening all around that new embassy. And we'll start first and foremost with the situation in Gaza. It was kind of ironic to hear Jared Kushner talk about issues of freedom and democracy and human rights, and hear the Israeli Prime Minister talk about the truth on the ground when we've just gotten word from Gaza health officials that 41 Palestinians have been killed today as a result of live ammunition being fired into the Gaza Strip, killing Palestinian demonstrators all along that fence. We have been seeing these protests, these demonstrations, part of what are called the Great Return March, take place in Gaza for several weeks. We knew today was going to be particularly large in the number of Palestinians expected to try and cross across that fence. And many had warned that the Israeli military, which had reinforced its positions over the past 24 hours, was going to use lethal force and lethal ammunition, as had been happening for the past several weeks. We've now gotten word from the Gaza Ministry of Health that they are calling on the Egyptian government to open their border that separates them and Gaza to allow supplies to get in, medical supplies to get in. They're also requesting the ability to transfer many of the critically wounded and injured who have been injured as a result of that live fire into Egypt. We haven't gotten word yet if the Egyptians are going to open that border, but it does give you a sense of what is unfolding there in Gaza. Now, just outside the U.S. Embassy, that's the screen you see there on the right side, you get a sense of about 200 or so members of what is called the All That Is Left. That is a Jewish anti-occupation coalition. They're supporting Palestinian rights all across the occupied territories. They came today to demonstrate against the opening of this embassy. They've been very sharp in condemning it, saying that it does not further the cause of peace. They described this government of Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu as the most extreme right-wing government that is now being allied with the Trump administration. And not too far away from Jerusalem, the third front, if you will, of demonstrations that are taking place in various cities, including on the outskirts of Ramallah and the occupied East Jerusalem. There, again, earlier today, we saw Palestinian protesters throwing stones and clashing with Israeli soldiers that fire tear gas and bullets, rubber bullets, we understand, to try to keep them at bay. So it's a very tense situation outside the embassy that contrasts what we were hearing and seeing inside the embassy.
And we're looking at both of those shots on our screen right now. Ayman Mohaldin live there in Jerusalem. Ayman, thank you. I want to bring in now NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley, who's on the phone traveling through Gaza City. Matt, you have been covering for the last several hours the escalating protests. Ayman giving us the report that now more than 40 Palestinians have been killed this morning. What are you seeing?
That's right, Hallie. We're seeing that death toll the most in the last 4 years, the most since that extended Israeli bombing of this coastal Palestinian enclave back in 2014. If you remember, that was a years-long attack by Israel and tit-for-tat attacks from the Palestinians against Israel back then. Now we're seeing the most losses in one day, and there's still one more day of protests tomorrow to come. And it's interesting, sitting here in Gaza, east of Gaza City right now, a large shell that fired from the Israeli position just across the border that I can see just exploded a couple of meters away from me. And it's very clear that the atmosphere here couldn't be any more different than what we're seeing in Jerusalem, and the celebrations that are going on, and the speech making and kind of and celebrations. You know, this is a very different place. Now here, a lot of the Palestinians, they're not just protesting against the embassy. That's a major rallying cry for the 2 million people who live here. They're also demonstrating in this great March of Return for the right of return, and that's a long-standing Palestinian demand to be able to go back to their homeland. The descendants of some about 1.5 million people here in the Gaza Strip who lost their homes and their land in 1948. They were either forcibly evicted or they moved themselves out of there, and they're demanding the right to return. And that's why what we're seeing is a move by these demonstrators to simply walk across this very highly guarded borderline here that's guarded with razor wire and with Israeli sniper nests. And sorry, I'm seeing a
no, it sounds incredibly active there,
flying above me right now.
Yeah,
it's actually. But it's,
let me let you get to focus on being somewhere safe, Matt, because it sounds like you're in the thick of things there. I know you're in the middle of it. We appreciate you joining us on the phone as you are driving through Gaza City there. Obviously, incredibly tense in the Middle East, in this region. But what you heard from Prime Minister Netanyahu, what you heard from Jared Kushner in his brief remarks at this embassy opening ceremony was a call to move forward toward peace. Here's Kushner talking about that just a couple minutes ago.
We believe that it is possible for both sides to gain more than they give, so that all people can live in peace, safe from danger, free from fear, and able to pursue their dreams. The United States recognizes the sensitivity surrounding Jerusalem, a city that means so much to so many. Jerusalem is a city unique in the history of civilization. No other place on earth can claim significance to three major religions. Each day, Jews pray at the Western Wall, Muslims bow in prayer at Al-Aqsa Mosque, and Christians worship at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. That is why President Trump has called many times, including right now, on all parties to maintain the status quo at Jerusalem's holy sites, including the Temple Mount, also known as Haram al-Sharif.
Kushner saying at one point, peace is within reach. As we take a look now at what you're seeing on both sides of your screen, on the left side, live pictures from Jerusalem. On the right, Gaza City. I want to bring in NBC Chief Foreign Correspondent Richard Engel in Jerusalem, who's been covering this ceremony for us. Richard, when you hear Israeli officials, when you hear Jared Kushner talk about peace being within reach, one side of the table certainly doesn't agree.
Well, as has been said before, the mood couldn't be different inside this embassy complex where I am right now. The musical portion of the ceremony has begun. The ceremony seems to be wrapping up. Well, VIP should be leaving fairly soon. The business has been done. This, which was until a short time ago the U.S. consulate in Jerusalem, has now become the U.S. embassy in Jerusalem. A lot of the speeches today, the longest ones, were given by Prime Minister Netanyahu and Jared Kushner. A lot of them talked about peace, how that this is a move for peace, that it recognizes Jerusalem as not just the center of Jewish life for 3,000 years, but as a center of peace. There were standing ovations here when President Trump was mentioned. His name was mentioned several times. He also gave a video address. People started jumping to their feet. They shouted, "Trump, Trump, Trump." Previous presidents had promised to do what just happened today, to move the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. When President Trump and others said that he kept his promise, again, a standing ovation. Very different mood than what you're seeing in parts of the West Bank. Certainly the mood that Matt was describing in the Gaza Strip. It almost seems like we're in two very different worlds here.
Richard Engel reporting live for us in Jerusalem. Richard, we'll look forward to your reporting later on tonight on NBC Nightly News. I want to bring in now Fawaz Gurgis, Professor of International Relations with the London School of Economics. And Fawaz, what is striking here, and you heard Jared Kushner frame it this way, you even heard it a little bit from Benjamin Netanyahu, is for President Trump, this is a fulfilled promise. It is a promise made, promise kept for him. And that is what the White House is touting this morning.
Absolutely. I think what Donald Trump has done, and we must give him credit for that he sacrificed the peace process between the Palestinians and the Israelis at the altar of his domestic constituency. The fact is, what he has done is a major blow to peacemaking between the Palestinians and the Israelis. I could imagine if we had two ceremonies today, one in West Jerusalem celebrating Israel's right to their capital in West Jerusalem, and another ceremony celebrating Palestinian rights to their capital in East Arab Jerusalem. This, I would have said, advances the interest of peace. It was one-sided, it's explosive, it's counterproductive. The political costs of what Donald Trump has done will outweigh any short-term political calculations and ideological inclinations in this part of the world.
The White House will take exception to that, Fawaz. When I talk to sources inside the administration there, what they've said all along is that they believe this could actually, while there may be short-term roadblocks here, there may be a little pain in the short term, they believe long-term this will actually help. Does that argument, in your view, hold water or not at all?
Not in my view, Hallie. It's not about me. It's about the people who know, the specialists, the scholars, the observers who know the region. Donald Trump does not appreciate and recognize the depth of popular opinion in that part of the world. He does not really appreciate what Jerusalem means for both Jews and Arabs and Muslims and Christians. It was a unilateral decision. If Donald Trump, as you say, is really very much interested in advancing the peace process, why not recognize West Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and East Jerusalem as the capital of the Palestinians? After all, there is a Security Council resolution. What he does, not only he pours gasoline on a raging fire, the peace process is frozen. As long as Donald Trump remains in the White House, and I'm not exaggerating, as long as Donald Trump remains in the White House, there will not be an inch advance on the peace process.
Fawaz Gurgis, thank you for joining us and for your perspective as we keep an eye on what is unfolding both in Jerusalem, in Gaza, and elsewhere in that region. We want to thank our reporters who have been covering this all morning. We're going to stay on this. We're also going to watch the other big headline of the day. New reporting showing how the president's lawyer tried to sell his proximity to the White House. How one source said Michael Cohen pitched his special access to several big companies, and what it means for the special counsel as it heads into year 2. That's next.
He sacrificed for his country and fought for his principles. Now he faces his toughest battle.
In the end, what you fight for is the real test.
Headliners John McCain, Sunday at 9 on MSNBC.
Time to go.
Alexa, start my Infinity QX50.
We're not going to make it. Saving the day once again.
The all-new Infinity QX50, superpowers for the rest of us. And see Marvel Studios' Avengers Infinity War in theaters April 27th.
It's just not the same with back pain. Dones relieves back pain. Dones, we've had your backs back since way back. Also available in a creep.
Municipal bonds don't typically get the media coverage that the stock market does. In fact, some people may even find them boring. What they typically do offer is a stream of income that's federally tax-free. Municipal bonds from Hennion & Walsh can give you income that's tax-free, and you have to admit, tax-free income can be very exciting. At Hennion & Walsh, we offer you tax-free municipal bonds from across the country, so you can benefit from tax-free income wherever you live. There's nothing boring about that. If you have at least $10,000 to invest, we want to send you our exclusive bond guide for free. 1-800-379-5379. That's 1-800-379-5379. We're out to prove that tax-free income can be very exciting indeed. For your free bond guide, call now 1-800-379-5379. 1-800-379-5379.
With Expedia, you can book a flight, hotel, car, and activity all in one place. Everything you need to go. Expedia.
I cannot imagine managing my diabetes without my Dexcom.
This is the Dexcom G5 Mobile Continuous Glucose Monitoring System. A small wearable sensor measures your glucose every 5 minutes and sends the data to a Dexcom receiver.
Dexcom helps lower A1C and improves quality of life. If you're over 65 and you have diabetes, you should have a Dexcom.
If you get a Dexcom, you're going to be very glad that you did.
Visit DexcomNow.com to learn more.
Approaching Medicare eligibility? Don't put off checking out your Medicare options until 65. Now is a good time to get the ball rolling. Medicare only covers about 80% of Part B medical costs. The rest is up to you. That's where AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, come in. Like all standardized Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans, they could help save you in out-of-pocket medical costs. Taking informed steps really makes a difference later.